The first thing I noticed about the village wasn't the silence. It was how unnaturally it held stillness. Like the world outside here had been muted, sealed, and buried. Old houses slouched against each other like they were trying to hide. Dirt roads were empty, lamps were dead, and every window had heavy black curtains stitched so tight you couldn't see a single shape. Inside, the villagers avoided eye contact. Their voices were low, flat, like they were afraid words could echo wrong. When I asked about night, they only said one thing: don't go out, no matter what you hear. At first it seemed stupid superstition, rural paranoia, the kind of old ghost rule you laugh about while posting videos online. That confidence lasted exactly 3 hours, because the first night, something started knocking, very slowly, not on the door in front of me, but on every wall around the house. Each knock came from a different angle, no rhythm, no pattern, like something moving around the building, testing the structure, mapping it. Then the voice came, a whisper, right behind my ear, even though I was alone in the dark room. Come outside. My breath stopped. My bones froze. That whisper sounded exactly like my own voice. And then the knocking started again, harder, like whatever it was knew I heard it. And it was smiling. I should have never come here. I should have listened. I should never go out at night. If this hook is approved, next step. The road into the village felt like driving into another century. No lights, no signboards, no mobile signals for the last 30 minutes. Only endless fields, dry trees shaped like crooked hands, and a single narrow road that looked like it shouldn't still be in use. I arrived just before sunset. The sky was burnt orange, the kind of color that feels like the world is warning. You, that darkness tonight will not be normal darkness. The old man who rented me the small house met me outside, before I even stepped out of the car. Heavy beard, wrinkled face, eyes that didn't blink enough. He stared at me a long moment before he spoke. You came alone? Yes. He didn't look relieved. He looked disappointed, like more bodies would have made the night safer. He guided me inside, quick, like he didn't want to be outside longer than necessary. The house was small, very old wood. No modern locks, only thick metal latches and heavy bolts. He sealed every window shut without asking. What's with all this? I joked. His head snapped up sharply, like the sound of humor was a sin here. His voice dropped lower, almost a hiss. No matter what you hear outside after dark, you do not open anything. Understand? I blinked. Why? What happens here at night? He didn't answer. His lips trembled, but no words came. He stared at the floor instead, like speaking about it might invite it inside. He placed a small lamp on the table and slid it toward me like it was a weapon. Do not turn off the light, he whispered, and never respond to voices you hear. I laughed a little, awkward, unsure, because it felt like he believed every syllable. It wasn't a superstition voice. It was a survival voice. He paused at the door, hand on the latch. This place is safest when it believes you are asleep, he added. So stay quiet. Then he left fast, locked the outer gate behind him. I watched him literally run away down the empty dirt road, glancing over his shoulder like something was watching. I tried calling him insane in my head. Tried calling this village backward superstition. Tried telling myself this was just local hysteria, but it didn't feel fake. The silence in this place felt directed. Like every shadow was listening. I spent the first hour inside unpacking my small bag, trying to find some normalcy. The interior was plain, but every single window had massive wooden shutters on the inside. Not curtains, actual thick planks, bolted down like they were built during wartime. Every hinge felt reinforced. Every crack sealed. There was even rope tied across one window latch, like someone feared the latch would break in the night. Why would a village need this? When the sun finally fell, it was like it fell too fast. One moment, the horizon was golden. The next, black swallowed everything. I turned on the lamp. Instantly, the house felt like a small pocket of fragile safety floating inside a sea of darkness. The air turned thick and heavy. The boards creaked like they were expanding under invisible pressure. I sat on the bed, back against the wall. Outside, nothing, absolutely nothing. No insects, no engine in the distance, no late-night chatter, nothing alive, silence like a tomb. The lamp flickered once, and I leaned forward to tighten the wick. That was when footsteps passed outside the door. Very slow. Very deliberate step. Step, step, dragging slightly, like something barefoot, but heavier than bone should allow. I held my breath, waiting for a knock. Instead, a voice spoke through the wood. Not yelling, not distant, directly at the door. Open, I know you're awake. My heart slammed in my chest. The voice sounded normal, calm, like a neighbor casually asking to borrow salt. Except I hadn't met a single villager except the old man. And the voice didn't sound like an old man. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. The old man's warning repeated in my head like a curse. Never respond to voices you hear. The footsteps moved slowly toward the window now. Step, step, closer, closer. I shut my eyes tight. The voice came again, softer this time, almost playful. You came a long way. Why don't you come outside and see what waits for you? My throat tightened painfully, because the next words the voice whispered were whispered in my own voice. Come outside. You want to see. You need to see. I pressed both palms hard against my ears, and still the whisper felt like it came from inside my skull. Objectively, I knew I could not break. I stayed completely still, silent, holding every muscle frozen. After what felt like hours, the footsteps faded. The silence returned, but something felt different now. The silence wasn't empty anymore. The silence felt occupied, like the night itself had become aware of me. And it was waiting for me to make the mistake the villagers were so terrified of. Reacting, speaking, opening the door, answering back. I stared at the lamp, flame shaking, realizing this wasn't a superstition. Story this village wasn't warning me about danger that might come. They were informing me of a horror that already lived here, and night was only the beginning. The next morning, everything looked normal again. Birds finally existed. Voices returned. Movement returned. But when I stepped outside, the villagers refused to look at me, every single one. Women sweeping door fronts pretended I wasn't there. Old men stacking wooden crates looked away. Even children froze completely and avoided my face like eye contact itself was dangerous. When I passed by a group of 3 men near a well, they all turned their backs to me at the exact same second. Not late, not awkward, perfectly synchronized, like a rehearsed rule. I muttered under my breath. You all knew something stood outside my house last night. One of the men spoke without turning. It still knows you're here, he replied quietly. And now it knows you heard it. Who is it? I asked. He didn't look. He didn't blink. He didn't breathe for a second. It is not a who. Then he walked away. At noon, the old house owner came to check on me again. But this time he didn't step inside. He kept distance. Like the closer he got to me, the more risk he took. You survived first night, he whispered, voice shaking. This is rare. That sentence alone made my stomach drop. Why didn't you tell me what, exactly? He cut me off sharply. Words give it shape. What does that mean? He looked like he wanted to scream at me for not understanding. You cannot speak details. You cannot describe it. You cannot assign it identity. The more you do, the more it becomes real around you. So this thing is listened into existence? Not existence, he whispered. Authority, that word, hit different. Like this place wasn't just haunted. It was ruled, like something out there had dominion. And humans here were only permitted to live in daylight because the night allowed it. I felt cold all over. Listen to me carefully, the old man said, leaning closer, voice almost shaking. Don't last 3 nights. Leave before 3rd night. You must leave before the 3rd night. What happens on the 3rd? He swallowed hard. You join them. Join who? He shut his eyes. Those who whisper from the dark. Later that afternoon, I went toward the only building that looked like a central structure, an abandoned community hall. The wooden entrance was chained shut by thick metal. On the outer wall there were old carvings, symbols etched in deep repeated patterns, not letters, but circles intersecting in complex spirals. They didn't look religious. They looked old in a way religion wasn't old enough to be, like they predated belief, like they were belief. There was a girl sitting far across next to a broken stone water trough. She was staring directly at me. Unlike the others, she didn't look afraid of looking. She looked curious, almost annoyed at my presence. When I approached, she didn't smile. "You are the outsider this time," she said in a low voice. "I thought they stopped letting any outsiders come anymore." "You say this time like this has happened before. It happens whenever. The night chooses a name," she said calmly. "I felt breath leave my body, so last night it was choosing mine." She nodded slowly. "It likes people who don't believe first night. The disbelief taste is stronger." I blinked, stunned. "Taste?" She leaned a little closer. "It can't break into you directly. It has to whisper until your fear answers back. Once you respond, even a single word, it enters." I stepped back involuntarily. She stared at me a few seconds, and then added even softer, "You are close to speaking to it already." "How do you know?" Her eyes flickered with something like pity. "You look like someone who asks why. Those are the easiest ones for it. You question. You think. You reason. Curiosity is the doorway it likes most." Silence. She looked away toward the hills far beyond the village line. There were others before. "You, travelers, researchers, explorers, city, people who thought isolation meant innocence." She paused. "We never found their bodies." The air felt heavier now, like the sun itself didn't feel safe. I exhaled. "What is in the night?" "A demon, a spirit." Edward, she snapped her head toward me with panic. "Stop trying to define it." She hissed sharply. "Definition feeds it. Naming feeds it. Understanding feeds it. If you give it form, you are the one completing it." I froze. For the first time, I understood the rule. This wasn't a horror you fight by revealing the truth. This was a horror you survive by refusing to know it fully. When sunset approached again, the villagers disappeared indoors much earlier this time. Not slow, not casual. In one moment they were present. The next, gone. Houses shuttered. Every door slammed. Every curtain sealed. Like an entire civilization shutting down. I reached my house fast. Bolted the door. Locked every latch. The lamp was burning. Steady. The silence returned like a suffocating blanket around the world. The floorboards under my feet vibrated slightly. Not like footsteps this time. More like the ground itself began humming. Like something massive was waking beneath the village. I sat down against the wall, holding my breath again. The night waited with me. Minutes, or maybe an hour, passed. Then the first knock came, but this time, it wasn't gentle. It slammed the side wall like a heavy body collided with the wood on purpose. Hewed, then another, directly opposite. Side thud, then another, behind. Me. Thud. It was circling faster, like the knocking. It was no longer testing the house. It was hunting. Then a whisper, sharp, deep, impossible to directionally locate, filled every inch of the room. "You will open tonight." I squeezed my hands into fists, nails digging into skin. The whisper changed cadence, changed pitch, changed tone, every second, like it was trying on different human voices looking for the one that would make me respond. Mother, father, friends, people I loved, people I missed. Every voice called me by name. "Come outside, come outside, come outside." The lamp flame trembled violently, and the whisper suddenly shifted into a female voice I had never heard before, yet it felt like it was standing right behind my neck. "You already belong to this night." I didn't sleep the second night at all. When the whispers finally faded close to dawn, I realized I wasn't even tired. My body was stuck in a state between fear and numbness, like the adrenaline was now sustained, not reacting. It was baseline. My mind kept looping the girl's words. Definition feeds it. So even fear, if shaped into image, becomes an invitation. The entity wasn't trying to scare me. It was trying to make me imagine it, because imagination is creation. The old man returned again that morning. But this time, from the moment he saw my face, he already knew. "You heard more than one voice last night," he said quietly. "Yes. And you didn't speak back?" "No." He exhaled like someone who just barely avoided execution. He stared at me long, searching my eyes, looking for cracks. "If it gets into your thoughts," he whispered, "your silence won't matter anymore." I swallowed. How would I know? "You'll start hearing it in the daytime too." The world suddenly felt colder at his sentence. "And if that starts happening?" I asked. He lowered his head. "Then leave. Immediately. Even sunlight won't protect you anymore." I stared at him. The fear in his voice wasn't for himself. It was for the possibility I wouldn't get out in time. "Outsider," he said, voice hollow. "You must leave on second day." "I need to understand this place first." He slammed his cane on the ground. "There is nothing to understand. There is only escape or absorption." His breathing was uneven now, words shaking out of him like trauma, not anger. He leaned closer. "You think you came here by chance?" "No, you were led. It chooses. Villagers are not victims. We are witnesses." I stepped back. "You mean you all allow this to continue?" "We have no choice," he snapped. "We are the boundary line. We are the price paid to keep it contained here. The night belongs to it. Daylight belongs to us." He stared directly into my eyes. "We only survive because it still prefers outsiders." I felt nausea rise. "You sacrificed others by letting them wander in here." He didn't deny it. "We survive by not becoming food," he whispered, broken. "And outsiders always think they are smarter. That's why they die easier." He left after that, faster than yesterday. He didn't say goodbye. He didn't want to form attachment. The girl found me again later. Same place, same stone trough, like she knew exactly where I would be. "You still haven't left," she said, as if it was disappointment, not surprise. "I'm not giving up and running. There has to be reason this thing exists. Some origin." "Origin doesn't matter," she said flatly. "Only endurance matters. No, there's a pattern behind this. This village obeys night. This entity chooses names. It uses voices. It tests boundaries. She stood up abruptly. "You are doing the exact mistake it wants." "What?" "You're trying to convert fear into logic." She stepped closer. Her expression was not angry. It was pity. "That is how it becomes form." I froze. She whispered low, almost pleading. "Stop trying to understand the monster. Understanding is the gate." We both stood silently. Then she looked toward the hills again. Same gaze direction as yesterday. Same exact angle. "There was an old belief here," she said softly. "Before Islam, before Christianity, before any paper religion, something we never actually stopped believing." I waited. She didn't speak for almost 10 seconds, long, heavy seconds. Finally she said, "Night is not absence of light. It is presence of something else." Those words hit like cold steel through bone. My throat tightened. The realization was too large, too raw. She sighed quietly. "You want backstory? That's what outsiders always want." She stared at me, eyes hollow. "Backstory is what kills you." She turned and walked away. Not slow this time. Fast, almost shaking. She didn't want to be there when sunset approached this time. This time, everyone could sense the night was coming hungrier. Before sunset, I tried calling anyone outside the valley. Not a single call connected. Not one, not even emergency numbers. Airplane mode toggled 10 times. SIM reseated twice. Like I was already cut off from the rest of the world. I wrote a note on my phone. "If I disappear, this place is real." I don't know who I expected to read it. Night came early again. Not gradually. Not like the sky dimmed. Like someone instantly flipped day to night. The lamp flame inside the house flickered violently before darkness fully settled. But this time, I noticed something new. Shadows inside the house did not behave correctly. The flame moved, but shadows didn't move with it. The shadows stayed. Solid, locked, like they weren't shadows, but mass. I backed up into a corner, forcing myself to slow breathing. To stay still, to not react. Silence wasn't empty tonight. Silence was crowded, and I didn't realize I was holding my own breath until the first whisper returned. Not from outside tonight, but from inside the room. "You should have left before second night." The fear was paralyzing. That was not mimic voice. That was its voice. Cold, dead, ancient. Every syllable felt like it scratched inside bone marrow. "You are curious," it said, almost amused. "You want to know what I am." I clamped my jaw so tight I felt teeth grind. It moved closer. I didn't see it. I felt it, a pressure in the air. Like the air was being squeezed by a massive invisible presence. "You want to define me." I suffocated under those words. "When you define me," it whispered, "you give me shape. And when I have shape," something brushed the back of my neck, cold like iron pulled from underground stone. "I have the right to enter." I shut my eyes tight, refusing to imagine what touched me. The voice leaned in, almost intimate, poisonous. 3 days, 3 nights, 3 steps. It paused long, letting meaning rot its way into my mind. By sunrise tomorrow, you will already belong half. The lamp flame dropped low, like oxygen was being drained by presence alone. And by third night, it hissed, voice splitting into multiple layers, shifting, phasing. You will not want to leave anymore. The presence slowly receded, not gone, just waiting for my next mistake, waiting for me to think about it too clearly, waiting for me to finish defining it. And that night I realized the true horror wasn't that the entity attacked. The horror was that it was letting me remain alive on purpose. Because transformation was the goal, not death. The third day, sunlight didn't feel like sunlight anymore. It felt thin, artificial, like the day was only a temporary illusion to make night stronger when it returned. I washed my face in cold water, and for the first time, I couldn't recognize myself immediately in the mirror. Not physically different, but the expression, the eyes. The way the reflection stared like it wasn't sure it was separate from the thing watching it from the dark. I whispered to myself, voice trembling, "I'm still me." Then the reflection's lips moved half a second slower than mine. Not fully identical timing. A tiny desync. A hairline fracture. It was starting. The girl was standing near the outer path again when I stepped outside. She didn't speak at first. She just looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in months. "You feel it now," she said finally. "Inside you." I didn't answer. She came closer, hesitant, careful. "You think you chose to stay. But you didn't. It wanted you to stay. It has been directing your thoughts since first night. Curiosity was not random. Curiosity was planted. Why me?" I whispered. She stared at me like she was staring at someone who was already dead but didn't know it yet. It chooses ones that already fear their own mind more than they fear the world. I swallowed, painfully. "So this ends for me tonight?" "Yes," she said quietly. "But how it ends is still yours to choose. What choices do I have? You either run before night." She paused. "Or you let it finish converting you. Will running actually work?" "Yes," she said it with certainty. "But you have to run before sunset. If you hesitate even 1 minute, it won't be a choice anymore." Then she leaned in, whispering directly near my ear, "You must not think about what it looks like tonight. If you imagine shape, if you imagine body, if you imagine face." Her voice cracked. "You lose." I almost cried from the weight of it. "How did you survive it?" I asked. She looked away, eyes hollow. "I didn't. I am just delayed." Before I could respond, she walked away fast and didn't look back. I went to the car, turned the key. Engine dead. I tried. Again, nothing. Again, nothing. Battery indicator was fine. System fine. Tank half full. The car simply refused the concept of motion, like the ability to leave had been removed from reality, not mechanics. So I tried the phone again. No calls. No emergency. Not even text sending. And worst part, the phone time had stopped progressing. The clock was frozen permanently at 2:17 p.m. Time itself was being suspended to prevent escape. Sunlight was still present. Outside, but time was not moving. Night was already claiming domain of outcome before physically arriving. The old man appeared again, near late afternoon, limping faster than usual, breath unsteady. "Panic fully visible now. You should not have stayed," he said immediately. "It has decided you." I grabbed his arm. "Tell me how to stop it." He shook his head in violent refusal. "It cannot be stopped. It can only be delayed. It wants shape. It wants definition. If it has all of your fear formed clearly, you become next voice of night. What if I refuse to imagine it?" He stared at me, like a teacher staring at a doomed student. No human survives third night without imagining it. Horror is not what you see. Horror is what your mind tries to make sense of. And the moment your mind tries to make sense of something shapeless, he lowered his voice into a dead whisper. "It wins. But you all haven't turned into it." He looked away. "We were born here. We learned as children to never think at night. Outsiders have not trained for this. Outsiders can't do this." His voice softened. "You will not be able to stop yourself." I stepped back away from him slowly. "So what happens when I turn?" His jaw clenched. Then his eyes told the truth that words refused to touch. "You become night. You become voice. You become hunger. He walked away. No further warning, no further advice. He didn't want to watch what would happen tonight. He didn't want to hear me become one of them. The hours before sunset were torture because I could feel it expecting me now, like an invisible weight on the back of my skull, pushing me toward imagining shape, imagining definition, imagining form. Every time my mind drifted, even accidentally for 1 second toward asking, what is it? What does it look like? A cold sensation spread through the center of my chest, like invisible tendrils coiling slightly deeper each time. I forced myself to think of math, of colors, of blank space, of static white nothing. But fear always bleeds into shape eventually. Fear is a sculptor. Fear wants to define threat, and the thing in the night knew this. That's why it didn't rush. It wanted tonight. It wanted the climax when my fear naturally defined it fully. Sunset was minutes away. The third night. The final night. As the orange bleed of the last sunlight faded behind the far hills, I sat inside the house, doors bolted, lamp lit, heart hammering so violently I was scared the sound alone would attract it. The floorboards creaked once. Not like weight stepping, like something shifting reality itself. Then, silence, heavy, loaded, poisonous. The lamp flame flickered twice, then stabilized, then dimmed a fraction, like oxygen again was not fully mine anymore. My body was trembling, so much I had to press my palms against my thighs to keep them still. Whispered inside my thoughts, don't imagine shape. Don't imagine shape. Don't imagine shape. But the mind is a violent traitor, because the more you forbid imagination, the more imagination revolts and forces image. The worst part was the sound of footsteps beginning again. Only this time, inside, behind me, inside the same room, not outside the walls, inside the room. I didn't turn. I couldn't. Cold voice spoke from behind me, deeper, more grounded, less whisper, more presence. You already know what I look like. I felt my mind snap under the pressure, because part of me did. No, not because I had seen it, but because fear had been sculpting shape inside memory all along, piece by piece, night by night, voice by voice. I was seconds away from forming a clear mental image, seconds away from becoming part of this entity permanently. The third night had begun. The wind slammed the window so hard it felt like fists. From outside, voices, layered, overlapping, not human rhythm. Like something trying to imitate humans but learning wrong. Like language that never belonged to Earth. Crawled backward into the corner. My breath came out white in the dark like winter frost. But it wasn't cold in the room. It was them. They were here. A shadow peeled off the ceiling. Long limbs. Wrong bending shape. Folding itself like liquid turned into bone. It leaned close, almost brushing my cheek, whispering like buried dirt, speaking, "Interfere, and you join us." My throat closed. Voice refused to come out. I somehow forced one sentence out. Why me? The shadow straightened in a jerking, unnatural snap. You saw. And in a flash I understood. It wasn't curse. It wasn't accident. It wasn't warning. It was containment. This entire village, every rule, every ritual, every night, was designed not to protect humans, but to isolate these things here, so they don't spread, so they don't multiply, so they don't get out into the real world. But the moment I stepped outside into light, I was a vessel for contamination. I wasn't just a target, I was a breach. The shadows closed in, their fingers, thousands, crawling up my back like centipedes made of ink. Multiple voices screamed inside my skull at the same time. You will help us leave. I screamed so loud my throat would come out. again, same chair. Same stare, same stillness. She didn't look surprised to see me alive. She only spoke 3 words. "Now you carry." I stepped back. "Carry what?" I whispered. She smiled. Slow, painful, like bone cracking under skin, that silence. That night, those voices, they are inside you now. They cannot leave this soil by themselves, so they travel inside those who disobey. My knees almost gave out. So what happens now? You leave this place, and eventually, they will open through you. Somewhere crowded, somewhere busy, somewhere blind. I stared at my hands. They were trembling by themselves. Not from fear, from movement inside. Old woman whispered. The village survived because it sacrificed the outsider who broke the rule. I walked away. I didn't run. There is no point in running when doom is already inside your bloodstream. I reached the highway before sunset. Car engines sounded normal. Human voices sounded normal. Everything looked normal. That is the most terrifying part. Night will come again, and when it does, those things will not be trapped in that remote village anymore. They will spread through me, and whoever hears their first whisper will never see sunrise the same way again.